How do? Welcome to Liquid Football. I'm Tenacious G, and I'm today joined by the Dazman and Yorkie Man. Today we're going to be talking about Barcelona and their recent troubles. So obviously Barcelona have been in the news for the wrong reasons, really, because obviously they got spanked 8-2 by Bayern Munich. It resulted in the manager Quique Setien, I believe I pronounced that right, getting sacked, and now Ronald Koeman is the front runner. So what are your thoughts on that, Daz?
After watching that Barcelona Bayern Munich game, it certainly looked like it needed freshening up, and there were no real leadership, no quality coming from any leader, and every time they pan to the manager, Mr. whatever his name is, Saint Etienne or whatever, every time they pan to the manager, he was literally. It was always he was stood there and he knew what was going to happen. I mean, they finished second in league to behind Real Madrid, which is never a good sign. And what, like I said, watching that game, so unorganised, just no leadership. It definitely needs a big shake-up at Barcelona. Can Koeman do that? Potentially, but is he not going to have the same squad that after a couple of losses on bounce that'll probably might turn the same way and not look as bothered like they did against Bayern?
I don't think it came as any surprise that he got sacked. I think after an 8-2 defeat like that against Bayern Munich, I mean, I don't know what anybody else was thinking, but they absolutely demolished. And you never expect that from Barcelona to be beaten that handily in the Champions League. A Champions League they've not won for several seasons now, when Real Madrid have been winning Champions League trophies. There's definitely something got to change. In my opinion, though, now I don't know the list of ex-managers, but there hasn't been a big manager, for me, who's managed that team for a long time. It always seems to be someone that's, I don't know, promoted through the youth, and I know they do it that way, and you've got Pep or ex-players, so on and so forth. Like Koeman's going to be. He did have a good time in England, so my memory of him is in England, and I think the last memory I have of him, it may be Southampton or Everton. He weren't very good, was he? He didn't manage top-tier English teams. And the biggest warning sign for me was when they signed Martin Braithwaite. They signed Martin Braithwaite from Middlesbrough?
I think it was, yeah.
Nearly relegated Middlesbrough, who needed Warnock to keep them up, and they signed Martin Braithwaite as their star striker in the January window. He came on, he tripped over the ball instead of doing a flick for his introduction to the fans, and that was the downfall of Barcelona this year. I mean, Martin Braithwaite, guys. Martin Braithwaite. They signed Griezmann, and who else are you going to get to partner him? Let's get him Braithwaite, because he's the man for the job. Up front, they've got Suarez, Messi, Griezmann, options like that, as well as Martin Braithwaite. I don't understand it. I don't understand what's happened to Barca. I don't understand their pulling power. I don't understand who's making the decisions up top. The team, when you look at it, isn't horrendous. They definitely need some midfield players, especially if Arthur goes. I think he has gone now. I think that's done and dusted. Arthur's gone and Pjanic's come in. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's the idea. It just seems insane. They've signed tons of players for a lot of money. They play them out of their positions. All right, unlucky with Dembele. But I don't see Koeman coming in and doing better. I just genuinely don't. I think Real Madrid will probably win the league title again next season. I don't see this team the way it is now doing well in Europe. I think when you look at the team, apart from defensively, and they've got some younger players there as well, from top to bottom, this team to me just screams unorganised. Doesn't seem like a unit. It just seems like a bunch of forward players that, yeah, we'll sign them for 100 million and they're going to do absolutely fine. And Martin Braithwaite. So I genuinely have no idea. If Koeman comes in, if it was Pochettino, I know he's been mentioned as well, but it looks like the front runner now is near enough done and dusted, nearly signed, sealed, delivered. He's yours. Happy days, Ronald. Welcome to the club. Have a good time. Enjoy Martin Braithwaite. I don't see it changing. I think Barca are in for a really rough time in the history of football. They're going to go through a period of time now that's going to be probably some of the worst they've had, because I don't see it changing. There's no young name coming through that you think he's the next guy.
There's no Messi, is there?
No, there isn't. And I remember when players like Ronaldinho came onto the scene and other players, and Neymar, when they signed him, and then he progressed and came onto the scene. There always seems to be something exciting that you could talk about. You could say, yeah, but they've got so-and-so. And they don't have that anymore. I want to know what's happening to Griezmann, where he's gone. Has anybody seen him? Has anybody found him? He's on a milk bottle somewhere saying wanted. The guy has gone missing. We need him back. He should be playing up top. I don't see why he's not playing, or at least off a striker. I don't think he fits Barcelona's system, to be honest with you. I've seen him do well twice, and that was at Atletico Madrid, playing off Costa, where he was brilliant, and that's why they paid so much for him, and France when he played off Giroud. So let's play him off somebody up top. I mean, I don't know who they would. So you've got Suarez and Messi, so he just probably doesn't fit their system. He's not that style of player. I mean, there you go. There's your front line next season, Ronald. Martin Braithwaite, spearheaded behind Antoine Griezmann. That's what'll win him the league.
Well, I mean, I completely forgot about Martin Braithwaite. I'm not going to forget anytime soon. But yeah, I think obviously, yeah, remember the name. But yeah, Kike Setien, as soon as they finished second, I think I wouldn't have been surprised even if they won the Champions League if it had been sacked. If I'm honest with you, because that's what they're like, aren't they? Those two.
Yeah, the Champions League's like the golden goose at the moment, though, isn't it? Because they've not won it in so long. And they've been embarrassed because teams like Real Madrid, even Atletico's been in the final sooner than they've been in the final. It's all gone peak tongue since Neymar went. But he's done no at PSG. Until maybe this year, as we speak, they're winning. Maybe this year could be PSG's year, and that's why they signed him. But they need to find someone, don't they?
They do. Like you said, they're very short on options. They are very short on options. You look at the league, I mean, obviously, we're just between two teams. Atletico were 12 points behind Barca. So it wasn't terrible. I mean, obviously, you could argue they're like a team of individuals at times. You know, like, obviously, they've got very good individuals, but they don't, for some reason, they just don't seem to do it at the same time. Like, you got Suarez, Messi. Messi, apparently, I've seen him not track back at all. Is very much... I think that's why... You know, people like it's been found wanting before. Like, look at Liverpool last season when they got beat 4-0, went missing. Yeah. You know, it's happened before. I believe against Bayern. I think they got beat 6-0 one time. I think that was Pep still in charge. It might have been a while ago.
It definitely has happened for him before, where he's not had a great
they've got
game
history.
in Europe. Yeah.
They've got history of getting spanked. Yeah.
He's not currently. It's not a happy camp, is it? Barcelona's not a happy team at the moment. I think well, especially this season with who they had in charge. I think when you're liking it down to the league, as much as it was a two-horse race, I think Real Madrid won it fairly comfortably, and it weren't a good year for Real Madrid. It was a turmoil year for Real Madrid, and they don't have the team that they used to have. They're nowhere near. They're not looked at the same, and they didn't do very well in Europe, getting knocked out by Man City. So I think when you look at that as well, that it's not a good year for Real Madrid, and Barca still couldn't beat them. It kind of shows where they're at. Imagine if this was Real Madrid a season ago with Ronaldo, they'd have absolutely destroyed that league this year.
100%.
And I think Barca are in they're in free fall. The Messi era is coming to an end in terms of he's getting older now, and there is no one there in my mind that you're excited about thinking, oh, he's going to tear it up. Just like Martin Braithwaite did. Yeah. Six games.
Can you not see him bringing anyone in? Sorry, Daz. Can you not see him? Either of you. Daz, do you see anyone coming in?
No, I'm just going to say, I mean, let's just say, for example, they decide to move on anybody who's 31 and above, let's say, for example. You know, the golden era. So Messi goes, he's what he is, and he's one of the best players in the world. You can't replace him. Suarez up front. You've got Braithwaite already, I suppose, to replace him, haven't you, as Matt said? So, you know, problem solved. But no, in all seriousness, you know, they'd probably lose Vidal, old Biscuit Tin in midfield, or Busquets, whatever his name is. PK at the back. You know, you're losing some massive people there. If they have this massive overall that people are talking about, at the same time, like Matt says, that Real Madrid still that little bit in front of them, but they don't have that gap filled at the moment between the two teams, if you get me. So Real Madrid are here, and they're not even doing well. Barcelona are here, and they're going to take star players away, which could drop them, if anything. And Atletico Madrid, you know, they could probably push on next year, to be fair. I don't know what signings they're making at the moment, something to look into, but yeah, I'd pulling power. The Barcelona out there, people will sign from on the name, I suppose, and if they pay the wages, but have they got the money?
I'm going to say, do you think financial fair play plays a part in signing likes of the legendary Martin Braithwaite?
Well, I think they're in a lot of debt.
That's what I
I
mean.
think they're in a lot of debt. It's run by loans a lot, I think, in Spain, and it's run usually not by like a board like we have. It's usually get elected like presidents of the club and so on and so forth. And I think one of the biggest issues is sales-wise, they've not had great sales. We know that from past experience. They don't tend to make a lot of money off of players. They've got Coutinho to come back. Good luck, Ronald. So really, when you look at it, they've made poor transfer signings, you would say, for the style of football that they play. Now, if you do look at the team, depending on the manager, there is a team there that could play well and could play good football. I've got no doubt in my mind that Griezmann is a star player. Getting back on form and maybe you get somewhere. Ousmane Dembele, I believe, is a brilliant player in the right style of football. It's moving away now from Messi, and how do you move away from it? And we've seen Real Madrid struggle moving away from Ronaldo, but I feel like they're slowly getting there now and will continue to get there. And they've changed the model of kind of the players they're going to sign and gone for some younger players. My problem is when I look at the Barcelona team, I don't see that. There's only one central midfielder that's young. They're in a real sticky situation, and unless something really good is going there in the academy, where they've got some great players that we just don't know about. They do have Fati, which I'd be interested to see if he progresses. But it is a bit worrying. It's a bit worrying. I'm sure there will be some decent academy players. I'd love to see them come through. I don't know if Coleman's known massively for playing the academy players. So who do you sign? If you're Barcelona, who do you sign? You can say you've got pulling power, but who do you put in that team now? Let's say they've only got 100 million to spend. Who do you put in that team now that makes the team better?
It's a tough one.
Looking at midfield, you need a midfield creator, don't you? And a lot of teams after them.
I think someone like Messi going, Suarez going, Busquets going, PK going, is probably a good thing. As much as it means you're going to have a couple of seasons, now, Barcelona not being amazing, it needs to happen at some point, and the reliance on Messi is too much.
Yeah.
And it's become quite obvious. I mean, that I don't know where the defence was. Barca, for me, have always been a team I watch, and I'm not expecting them to have a defensive masterclass, although they've had some great defenders. I mean, Daz mentioned him earlier, Puyol. They've had some great defenders in the past, but I'm looking at them, and I'm looking at them for their attacking threat, and I don't get that anymore with Barcelona, and I haven't got that for the past few seasons. So it's how do we change that?
Who would you say they build the team around? I mean, I like Frankie de Jong. I think he's a great player. They were saying on the TV the other day that he was being played out of position most of the season. That's why they said he hasn't had a great season. But can you build a team around De Jong, or do you look at someone like Dembele to build it around, or do you look further down?
The problem is it's this mindset of who do we build around? You've done that. Don't build around anyone anymore. Get a squad together of capable players and work as a unit. You've built around Messi, and you've been gifted a present from the gods. You've ended up with one of the best players you could have had coming from your academy. You haven't paid a penny for him. And that time period is slowly starting to whittle out now. Don't build the squad around any one player. I don't think teams work like that anymore. If you look at any of the best teams now, I mean, you could liken Liverpool. Them as a unit is absolutely fantastic. The way they press together, counter together, play together works a treat. And I think that's where we're at football now. And one individual player will not change Barca's fortunes. It just won't happen. They need to sign several players, and in the style of maybe De Jong, in the style of that younger player, talented player, and very good on the ball, but that's where they need to be looking. I mean, defensively, I think they've got some all right players. I know they've got Langley, they've got Umtiti, they've got some decent defenders. I would say that their biggest struggle, and pointed out by signing Martin Braithwaite, is their inability up top and their inability to know what they're going to do, because they've got Suarez and Messi. So you've got Griezmann for 100 plus million or whatever he cost, and you're not using him. So really, could they have gone out and signed Moussa Dembele or a player like that, a bigger name striker, because they're going to play behind these guys? So that's probably why they went for Braithwaite. I think Suarez was injured, or Messi was injured. One of the two was injured. They needed someone to come in for a few games. Braithwaite was the man. But it shows you when they've got their starting 11 out, it's not good enough. now teams are starting to pass them, and that's been a recurring theme, I think, for a few seasons.
Yeah, I mean, just what would you expect from Ronald Koeman overall? And because I'm looking, like you mentioned earlier on, we only know him from England. I'm looking at his record.
He's a plaster.
Yeah,
it's a move on in it until it's set for somebody else to come in and really take hold of it.
Yeah.
But
They're putting super glue on it.
Yeah, I think he'll bring in some Dutch players like Van der Beek. I think he'll make a couple of signings from like Ajax or somewhere that they'll pay 25-30 million for.
How big is Barca's pull now, though? Because you look at someone like
better than Ajax.
Barca know Ajax in and out. They've worked together over several years. De Ligt went to Juve. And I always questioned that because I was like, I'd have been straight on the phone. Excuse me, we love each other. We'll have him. I
think this connection, though, with Koeman might change that again, though. That might sway it back to Ajax saying, well, then you can have him for that and we'll have so-and-so. Because the story I saw, I can't remember if it were on the internet somewhere, but the story was that Suarez was to go back to Ajax. Ajax were going to give him less of a wage, which would then open a door for Van der Beek to go to Barcelona.
I don't see how that benefits Barcelona, though, because that doesn't figure the strike problems. Luis Suarez has scored quite a few goals this season.
Well, you're getting rid of a midfielder for an attacker, aren't you? Well, you get whichever way you look at it. But it's. I think there was some dealings between them, but I don't think.
I know that's been in the past. They've always had quite a good relationship. I think that comes from Cruyff, doesn't it? I think they've always had quite a good relationship, but I don't know. I thought Koeman's allegiance in Dutch football was Feyenoord.
He's managed Netherlands, Barca, Vitesse, so whatever you call them, Ajax, Benfica, PSV, Valencia, Vitesse, AZ, Feyenoord again.
So he's done everyone, hasn't he?
He's basically done a lot. So he's not into just Feyenoord.
So do you think do you think Barcelona are looking at like the other like European teams? I mean, it's kind of obvious to go to England, like Chelsea with Frank Lampard and that. You think Pep's gonna go back? I'm just thinking, obviously Coleman used to play for him, like going back to a legend sort of thing.
But he's not for me. In the more current days of football, let's forget the past as a manager and let's remember more current days of football because football has changed so much. And when you think about football now, there's a reason why certain managers. Nagelsmann for me is the future. Go for Nagelsmann now. Fucking go for him now. Get Nagelsmann in. He's the future for me. Those kind of managers are the future of football. Koeman doesn't bring me a style of football that I'm going to get excited about. He really doesn't, and I can't see it being anything but just a means to an end for right now. Just a means to an end, and I wouldn't like to be him. I mean, I'm sure he's being paid well, but I wouldn't like to be him because the squad he's walking into and the dressing room he's walking into, and if you're Messi, or you're Suarez, or you're one of the bigger names in the team, does he fill you with enthusiasm that
I'm just thinking
times are going to change for Barca?
That he were a club legend, so he might get that respect that way. That's the only thing I'm thinking.
I just don't see it working like that anymore in football, unfortunately. I mean, Mourinho's won everything, but players have still fallen out with him. So I think you're going to be judged on what you've done as a manager, especially more recently. And if you're Barcelona, I would have been looking at the big names. I mean, can't you talk Allegri into coming back into management? There's Allegri out there. You've got Pochettino out there. Go and poach one of the good young managers. Like I mentioned, Nagelsmann. There's options there. Koeman may have a link with Barcelona, but it doesn't mean he's going to be a good manager. We've seen that time and time again. I don't know. I think he's going to be under a lot of pressure again. It would not surprise me if we sat here at this time. Well, maybe not this time because we'd be halfway into a new season at this stage. But that he won't be manager halfway through next season would not surprise me.
I think going back to what you said there, G, about would he go to somewhere like England for players? If rumours are to be believed, Willian chose Arsenal over Man United, Man City, Barcelona, and somebody else. I think it was. So if he's chose Arsenal over Barcelona,
maybe he's settled in London.
You know what I mean?
He probably wanted to stay in London, but you've also got to remember if I was looking at who do I want to play for right now, I'd want to play for Arteta over. And he wanted to know it was Coleman at the time. Let's remember that as well.
Yeah,
I'd want to play for Arteta than what I was seeing at Barcelona.
So that brings us to the end of this edition of Liquid Football. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, please go ahead and press that like button. If you'd like to see more, feel free to subscribe. And obviously don't forget to check out the socials, which will be on the screen now and in the description below. And we will see you next time. Thank you very much for watching.